Have you ever been so excited about something, but when you get it or use it in this case, that you're just that little bit disappointed? That is exactly where I am at with this Quasi skateboard. And today I'm going to go over my review and wear test of the Quasi skateboard that I've been skating. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're going well wherever you are. And I wouldn't say like 100% disappointed, just maybe a little bit bemused. Like, I don't know, it just hasn't quite worked out as personally as I expected when first buying this Quasi. So I've been holding on to this deck for probably about 3 months now, but I've been riding a few other decks. I've been really excited about it. Like, the shape is almost identical to like an FA or a hockey deck. And I reckon you can almost say the kicks are alike, or mainly the nose. The nose is quite like sort of shaped, as I mentioned, shaped like an FA and hockey. And it's also pitched like it. The tail is a little bit different, and I found out on this Quasi particular that the tail just doesn't quite suit me. The tail is meant to be like quite mellow. Like obviously like the FA and hockeys are like a bit more steeper pitched. Characteristic about like the Quasi is meant to be a mellow tail, but there was something about it that I just couldn't quite grasp, and it just didn't quite work for me. I reckon that would have been put that down to being that it was like nice, it was actually quite short. I started this deck off on Indies, which really like shortens up that wheelbase so you can get that earlier pop, but even doing that I still experienced a lot of ghost pop with all my tricks. I still could do some tricks and stuff like that, but my consistency went down, and like I mentioned, like I said, that like a lot of my tricks that I was just getting quite a bit of ghost pop. And then I went ahead and put my Ventures on it, and that surprisingly to me actually worked a lot better. Like Ventures, if you don't know, they sort of really widen up that wheelbase. So you got like Indies that are like will shorten your like a shorter wheelbase sort of thing. Then you got your Thunders, which is that medium ground, and Ventures will make it even further. Therefore, it's yielding even more of a steeper, like a kick, like a steeper pitch of a kick, and that means generally more effort. And that's sort of what I found, like throughout the life of the deck, I really did need to give it that a lot more effort, a lot more oomph to get sort of like my tricks, because even on the Ventures, I did have that consistency a little bit better, but it was still like, it was a lot of work to like, for me to like get my tricks. And like, I'm quite a lazy skater. The way I skate is very lazily. I like to like pop nice and easy. So that's why I'm going to go back to a different deck that might have has a bit more of a mellow tail, a longer tail, because this tail is quite short. So it's just like one of those things that's sort of like my personal taste and like the way my legs work, because a little bit older, a bit more lazier, like I do get a lot more tired on this Quasi deck, on the shorter, steeper type of like kick decks. Shape wise, I really enjoyed the shape. Like it has this like beautiful like big nose, nice pretty round tail as well. It's just a really nice deck to look down at. I personally like these like fuller shaped decks like in general to skate and look down at. And if you're a beginner yourself, personally I feel like getting if you're a beginner and you get a deck like shaped like this, I don't know, something I think you'd feel more comfortable and a bit more confident on it, because there is like, it makes you feel like there's more skateboard there under you, even though it's just like it's like a bee's dick on the nose and some on the tail, but just like the girth of the skateboard, it just like makes you feel more comfortable, more locked into the skateboard. It's something that I would actually recommend to beginner skateboarders. The pop and the durability of this skateboard is actually really good. Like, hasn't really been razor tailing much. The pop is consistent when I'm actually getting it and not getting ghost pop. I did slam it into like into a chair, and it had this big like chip there. I mean, like a big dent. It didn't chip, so it only dented and it didn't chip. That's just because I poop shooted it out and it smashed in it at a high speed. But other than that, like that's a good sign that it dented and not chipped, because generally things like that will chip and not dent. Overall, the board durability is good. It's not cracking. There's no real pressure cracks being shown, which I tend to get a lot of because I really like oof and stomp my tricks. The pop is like consistent. Like the way those things are just like that side of the board is working really well. The shape is really nice. And I just like, for me personally, just the way I skate, like that shorter tail, it just like sort of bothered me. I'll probably go back, because I've only skated this deck for like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. It still has a lot of life in it. if I end up getting my new Thunders, I'll probably end up coming back to this deck in the future and putting Thunders on it and see if that makes any difference, because that's a lower truck as well. And another thing to mention is, like, along with changing the trucks to try and get a better performance, I also changed wheels to try and get that tail to hit the ground earlier. So I went down from a 52mm wheel down to like old Spitfires that my Spitfires like range between that 46 and 47mm. So I dropped 5mm to try and get that tail to hit earlier. It has helped a bit more as well, but because like I'm a bit lazy, I still get ghost pop. But this is at the moment the way I've got this set up on Spitfires, like 46mm Spitfires, my Venture V hollows. It's the best performing, like best setup for this deck and how it's performing for me at the moment. And I've actually forgotten to like touch on the size of the deck that I'm riding. I'm riding an 8.25. That's pretty standard for me if you've been watching the channel or watch anything in any of my videos. The length of this deck is 31.77 with a wheelbase of 14.25. That length is like a little bit shorter. Therefore, like it compromises that tail, so that's why you got that shorter tail, which, like off the top of my head, I think it's about 6.5, maybe 6.58. So it's that sort of like short area where I'm gonna probably set up a girl next, which is like that 6.78, I think, or 6.8 length tail. So that's like a little bit longer. It's actually got a shorter wheelbase too. It's a 14-inch wheelbase, so I'm personally hoping get a little bit more consistency, and I don't get as tired as quickly, because I can get pretty tired on this deck, but that's just old man things, eh? But overall, I do think like a lot of people will enjoy skating in Quasi. For me, if I was like, or anyone in their prime, a bit younger, really strong legs, strong pop, you will quite enjoy this, because you can yield that quite steepish kick, which will get a higher pop. But for me, a little bit too much effort, to be honest. Till I get better and we meet again, the Quasi deck, maybe just not quite for me. I will try it on those Thunders. Overall, they've got some great graphics, got a good solid team. The shape, if you really like that full shape deck, this will be a nice deck for you. Like, there's a lot of things I do. There's probably more things about this deck I do enjoy than I don't like. So that's really the positive for it. There is that last hope of putting Thunders on it that hopefully will transform the deck and make it like a little bit better for me personally. But I'm gonna just leave that one here, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you ridden a Quasi? Will you ride a Quasi? And if you made it this far, make sure to hit on that like button. Subscribe if you're not already. Helps out that channel, helps out other people trying to search things like maybe skateboard reviews and all that type of jazz as well. But until the next video, guys, I'll catch you in another one soon. Peace.